Hello, welcome back to Technical Writing EN 215. So this video is going to be for Chapter 2. Now, in-person students, Chapter 2 we covered in 2 days, but I'm going to put all the lecture into one video, so hopefully that helps. I'm going to start with part 2A, and then I'm going to go into 2B, so if you're using the lecture notes, you'll know where to find them. But let's get started. So Chapter 2 is going to go in depth into your audience and purpose when we're talking about our technical writing. So what are we going to discuss? We're going to discuss meeting your audience's needs and planning out your document. So we're going to talk about purpose, scope, and the medium that you use to create your technical document. Meeting the audience's needs. So Aristotle identified 4 different ways to communicate with an audience. So you've got logos, ethos, pathos, and kairos. Logos is appeal to logic, using of evidence and a well-reasoned argument, so very, very logical. Ethos, you're appealing to the ethics of the person. Use the speaker's or the writer's credibility and their good character. The pathos is appealing to emotion, and kairos is appealing to the opportunity at the moment. So what do we look at when we look at technical writing? Traditionally, we stay more in the logos ethos realm. We do go into kairos, pathos. No, we stay away from that. We stay away from that emotion. Technical writers need to know their audience and consider the different types of readers that they may have. So they can have a lay reader, and that's going to be the reader that has no technical knowledge. You can have a technician level, an expert, or a manager. So technician, they're going to be skilled, have some knowledge. They know how to read manuals, schematics. They know a little bit about it. Okay, your expert, those are your subject matter experts. They know exactly what you're talking about, and it's going to be a highly skilled professional, and they are going to want to read, to learn, and possibly contribute to your presentation or your research. Now, a manager, on the other hand, they are going to read your research usually in order to inform themselves, in order to be able to make a decision down the road. Managers traditionally do not want the nitty-gritty of what's going on. They want that high-level overview. And from experience, they like pictures and graphs and charts, things that they can read very, very quickly and completely understand what you're talking about. They don't have a lot of time to read your documents cover to cover. So you can see the different types of audiences that you may have, and just start to think about how that could actually affect what you're writing. A specific audience is going to be a person or a group with a common interest and the same point of view. So that is going to be a group who is going to be reading your document. So in order to understand that audience well, you need to know what is their knowledge level, how much do they know, how much do they understand. You need to know what is their interest level, what is their role, why are they reading this. Some other things that can actually contribute to this would be cultural background and personality, because yes, we don't want to get into emotions, but we don't want to be offensive either when we're writing our documents. Some audience characteristics that we just discussed. First, let's look at knowledge level just a little bit closer. So in order to analyze your audience's knowledge level, what does my reader already know? Are they on that expert level? Are they a technician? Or are they just a lay reader? Do you really need to put a lot of detail into it? What does my reader need to know? Okay, and that's different than what does my reader want to know. All of these are going to contribute to understanding the knowledge level of your audience. Additional audience characteristics. So if you want to analyze your audience's interests, you can start by asking yourself some questions such as, how strong is my reader's interest in this topic? Are they reading it to be informed? Are they reading it to make a decision? Are they reading it for fun? Are my readers' priorities different from mine, or are they the same as mine? Are you trying to persuade, or are you trying to inform? Is my reader likely to agree with my point of view? That might actually help understand what their background is and what their interests are in them picking up your technical document. If we look at role, what is my reader's role? Are they a manager? Are they reading this in order to make a decision, implement a plan? Are they reading it to operate equipment, encode data? Are they using it to train other people? Are they going to use this to create something, to design something, or even invent something? And, a big way to kind of make it down to the nitty-gritty is it going to management, which is a very, very high level overview? Is it going to go to a peer, which would be like a communication on the same level? Or is it going to a supervisee, which would be someone under you that you're trying to explain something to? So those are really the three levels that you can think of. Again, cultural background and personality. So for cultural background, what is my reader's cultural background? What are their beliefs? Are my reader's beliefs different from mine, or are they the same? The other thing you do need to look at for cultural background is, what does that culture find offensive? What does that culture not like? In the United States culture, the number 13 is considered bad luck, so most hotels don't have a 13th floor. I have found over the years that other countries have other numbers that you need to stay away from. So, for example, if there is a country that does not like the number 7, and I believe it's one of the Asian countries that I have dealt with in the past, you don't want to send them an example of something with the number 7 being prominent, because to them 7 is bad luck. For personality, you want to know what kind of personality they have. Are they analytical? Are they going to be quiet? Are they going to be outgoing? Again, does my reader prefer having details or seeing the big picture? This goes along with that managerial, user, or peer kind of categorization, but it is going to help you understand how to write your technical document. This was the end of the lecture for part A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over assignment 2A, and then feel free to pause or stop the video, complete the assignment, and then come back for the second part. So assignment 2A is looking at your audience's needs. You have a scenario. Gavin is a security officer, and he must write a memo to a new executive explaining that he can no longer allow her into the building without her security pass. She's been forgetting her security card ID, and Gavin has been letting her into the building without it. Gavin's supervisor has told Gavin he can no longer continue letting her into the building without her ID. This is Gavin's first job out of high school, and he really likes it and he wants to keep his job. He does not know that new executive very well, but he has observed that she is often in a hurry and impatient. So, understanding this scenario, you're going to go through and understand the knowledge level, the interests, the role, the cultural background, and the personality of who the audience is. So when you look at that assignment, Gavin is writing the assignment. You are Gavin. And what you are looking for is your audience. So you may have one audience member, the executive. You may have two, the executive and his supervisor. You choose. In the assignment is going to ask you, how would you change your language now that you have knowledge of these different characteristics? So their knowledge level might be low because it's a new executive, so you might want to add additional information regarding policies and procedures because they may not know. So there's a good example of how to do the first part for assignment 2A. Again, feel free to pause or stop this video, complete the assignment, or we'll get going on part B in just a second. Okay, let's move on with chapter 2. Again, we're going through the audience and purpose. We talked about in the first half meeting your audience's needs. So in this half, we're going to talk about planning those documents. Meeting the needs of a multiple audience. So a multiple audience is going to contain a reader with different points of view. Your first responsibility is going to be your primary audience. Their primary audience is going to be that reader who asked you to do the document, for example. They are the ones that are going to make decisions based on the document. They might be the ones that take action based on your document. More likely than not, your primary audience is going to in fact read your entire technical document from start to finish. So your primary audience is your who. You do have a responsibility to a secondary audience, if you have one, only after you meet the needs of your primary audience. A secondary audience might be someone that's affected by the document, but they're not going to use it to make decisions. They might be interested in the background information of decisions of the document, but they're not actually taking action. They may use this information for some other purpose, and they may only read selected portions of this document. When you write, you do need to focus on that primary audience, but you kind of want to take steps to make sure you're meeting everyone's needs, including maybe some audiences you don't expect. You do want to avoid stereotypes, biased language, inappropriate language. You do want to think about your readers' needs and roles, develop a plan for each of the different readers if you have them. Write different parts or different sections for the different readers. Rewrite short documents. A lot of times you will see summaries at the ends of chapters. Those summaries are for that secondary audience. That secondary audience just wants an overview, so they'll go and read that summary. That's a great example. Planning a document's purpose, scope, and the medium. So early before you start writing, you need to have these 3 things decided. So you want to know the purpose of your document, the scope of the document, and the medium of how you're going to convey your document. And the medium one's a little wonky, but we'll get to it in just a second. The purpose of the technical writing is to inform, persuade, or both. We talked about that in last lecture. So to determine your purpose, ask, what do I want to relay? What do I want to inform? What do I want to convince them of? Or what do I want to happen as a result of this document? Am I writing this document in order for a manager to make a decision? If so, I want to make sure I present both options on the same level. I want my manager to be able to compare apples to apples. Am I trying to write a persuasive document? Am I saying this is the one I like better and here's why? Okay. Or is it just an informative document? Is it just here are the steps, here's how you write a recipe? After your purpose, you need to look at your scope. And scope is super easy. What does it contain? What doesn't contain? So what you need to ask yourself is, how thorough do I want to be? If we didn't have scope, these documents could be infinite. So you need to actually purposefully understand what information I leave in the document and compare and contrast it to what I leave out. Where do you draw that line? It needs to be an intentional line that's drawn, and it needs to be understood by both the writer and the reader of where that line is. Last but not least, we're talking about the medium. So this is how you're going to convey your information. So traditional medium is print, television, radio. Those are things mostly to passive users, right? Online media is also a different way. Blogs, websites, apps, anywhere that your intended audience is going to be able to get that information. So to determine which type of medium or media to use, you want to ask, what is available to you? What does my audience typically use? Is the media appropriate for my audience, the message, and the purpose? And are the time and money required to produce that worth the possible outcome? For example, if I were to be giving information regarding gas prices, where would I put that type of media? So would I put that type of media on a TV screen? Maybe. Is that going to hit my target audience? Maybe. But I can think of one that's going to be so much better. Find somewhere that they could see, read, and understand that information in a car. Billboard would be a great one. Radio advertisement, something being a little bit more passive. You're not going to want to put it in print for them to read an actual document if they're looking at gas prices while they're driving. So that would not be an appropriate media. Does it work? Yeah. Is it wrong? No. Is it the best? No. So looking at the second assignment for this Chapter 2, we are going to practice writing purpose statements for each topic, completing and understanding what the scope looks at and what it does not look at, and we're going to decide upon a medium. When we look at the actual assignment, we're going to have the purpose, it includes, it does not include, in the medium. So the very first example, the purpose is to vote for Mr. Smith, not Mr. Jones, for senator. Your audience is going to be indicated in that parenthesis, so your audience is the public. Decide what your scope includes, what it doesn't include, and what your possible medium choices are. So you're going to do that for these 4 scenarios, and that's all there is for Chapter 2. I will see you guys all in the next lecture for Chapter 3.